Now we are going to start discussing a very important part of InDesign, that is how to work with pages. Because now most of the projects you will be working on documents that will have multiple pages, and it is necessary to have good understanding of what's possible and what are the limitations of working with multiple pages in document. First of all, we'll have to take a look at the basics, that is duplicating pages, deleting pages, moving them around and changing them from single facing to multiple facing pages, and just a couple of additional settings that you can do from the pages panel. So first of all, here is a document open here. Now first thing, we already mentioned in the previous tutorials that you can customize how the pages panel represents or show your pages. So see these thumbnails here that we see here can be decreased or increased in size by either going to panel menu or choosing panel options, or you can also right click and choose panel options. And then once you are here, you can find the size option for the pages here, but also you can decide not to show thumbnails at all. And let me show you what happens if I click here and give OK. You will see we don't have any preview of the pages, and some other users actually prefer not to see the thumbnails there. They might find it distracting, but there is another reason why to do this. This is actually making it a little bit faster to work with your document, because InDesign would not have to generate those little thumbnails each time you make changes in the document. So once again, if you feel like InDesign or the machine is struggling, then this is a good way to lighten up the workload for the CPU. Now I'm going to set it back to panel options and show thumbnails like it was before. Also, there are a couple of additional details here which I don't have to go because they are quite self-explanatory. And there is a section called parents here. It's important, and we will come back to that in later. Next thing I wanted to mention is if you right click here on the pages, you get a different options to right clicking on page thumbnails like this here. Again, there are a lot of additional options here. Again, we will be covering most of these, but first of all, I would like to concentrate on basic options like duplicating a spread. So you can see currently we have a page number 3, 4 selected. And if I choose duplicate spread, it will automatically be added. Let's select this 3 and 4 and right click, duplicate spread, and will automatically come in the end of the document. Now if I want to move it around, I can easily drag it between two spreads like so, and I can individually drag pages if I want to as well, like this. So now it's important to know the option called shuffling pages at the moment. This document and the feature is turned off. So allow document pages to shuffle is turned off. It is turned off, and that is why I'm able to shuffle the pages around. Now because it's turned off, I'll be able to do things like this, attach pages to each other. So instead of just having that default 2-page facing option, I can actually build up a longer or wider spread like this. So I can actually create a 4-page spread. This could be very useful if you want to use some pages to be able to fall out, or in case you are designing a brochures. But as said, this option is available only if the shuffling feature is turned off. The one here is turned off. Unlike in our other document here, workbook, when I right click here, it is turned on. And now if I'm trying to click and drag this, I'm not able to do that. So I don't get the icon of attaching these pages together. They can only stay on their own even if I go to the file menu and choose document setup. And if I turn on the facing pages option, give OK, it will still not allow me to do that. just give undo. It just switched the pages between two. Now once I right click on any of the page thumbnails and I turn off these features, it will be turned out for the whole document. Now I can start joining the pages like so. And make this into multiple spread, or I can decide to divide the spreads. Let's just say I will divide the spread like this. There. I'm going to undo these changes because I don't want to mess up this document. But coming to other example, we can see that it is possible to customize each of these spreads, and of course we can easily move these spreads around by just using the pages panel. So if I want, I can put this longer spread at the end of the document. I'll just select this, shift and select this at the end of the document. I'm putting it there. And if I decide to delete these last two pages, I can also do that by selecting and holding them down using Shift key, and then right click and delete pages. It will ask if I'm sure about that. I can give OK, and those pages will be deleted from the spread. Now, what if I need to create a new document and I would like to use this spread in that document? All I have to do is go to the File, New Document option, and there I will have to make sure that the size is set to name size as the current one. So I know that this is an A4 portrait using facing pages, so I can go to Print, A4, using facing pages on. But I want to make sure that it starts off with a spread. So I don't need a cover page, and for that I have to just use the start page number at number 2. And then I can click Create. And there. I can go back to the other document. I have selected this spread. So say select this spread. I can right click and move pages. I would like to move this into the Untitled 1 document that I just created. And so my new document, instead of keeping it current document, I can see the number of pages is 3 to 4. And that's correct. And that's the one I wanted to move. I can choose where I want to move them. I would like to be at the start of the document. And at this point, I can even decide to delete this after moving. But I don't need that, so I'll just keep it checked off and just go ahead and give OK. Now if I switch to the untitled document, I see here that it has shifted successfully with the 2-page that I exactly aimed here for. So we'll learn 2 things here. That one is that if you want to skip the page cover, you have to just make sure that the starting page number when you have started a new document is set to the number 2, and you can move pages between documents. Of course, at this point, if I want to make sure that first page is actually considered first page and it's not counted as number 2, then I can right click here and turn off the shuffling option. Then I can go back to my file menu and choose document setup, and I can do here start page number 1. And click OK. Then I can keep the first 2 pages as spread without them dividing up as single page, and have the document starting with a spread but also having the first page set to number 1. Now it might sound a little bit confusing. Let me just show you once again. If I create a new document similarly, and the previous one having the facing pages on, so I'm just intentionally going to keep the page as number 1 and start with number 1. Just go ahead and here, new, I'll just keep this as number 1 and go ahead and click create. Now if I select these 2 pages and move once again, right click and move pages, set to untitled 2, and the start of the document, let's go ahead and give OK, and there it came with you will see what happened, that first page and second page is now split. But as I said, whenever you have the shuffling option enabled in InDesign, you will be automatically see the first page as the cover and then the rest of the pages being spreads. So if shuffling is like an automatic way of setting up the document, and whenever it's turned off, like now if I will right click and turn it off, I can make sure that this page is set to left side of the spine. Notice that even if in just own, I can just change the side of the spine here. And then I can drag the other page and attach it to the right side. So now I've actually achieved exactly the same thing that we have done before. What we got here is a slightly different order of the same features. So most important thing is to remember that shuffle option, which can be turned off and on by right clicking on the page thumbnail. And remember, this is going to affect the whole document. Another thing is that you can move pages between documents easily and recreate the certain designs that you have done in another project, and can also help consistency between issues of magazine, because of course there are better ways of setting up templates, which we'll be discussing later. But that's not all we need to know about pages. Now we'll discuss about the advanced techniques with respect to the page sizes. Now to learn more about working with pages, we will be setting up a trifold brochure template. I'll just close this extra documents for now. Okay. Now we're just going to focus on setup, because there is a couple of things that we need to learn, still having about different page sizes with same document. Now let's just start off by setting orientation to landscape. New document and orientation. I'll just keep this to millimeters. Okay. Orientation to landscape. And then the width is 297 millimeter and the height is 210 millimeter, which is the A4 format. Now this might be familiar for people in US, but you can still choose that from InDesign, and it should be easy to find this at the starting point. We're going to use it actually a different size. We need width to be 100 millimeters. That's close to the third of the original size. And that's close to, that is exactly what we're going to use. So 100 by 210 millimeter, we need 6 pages like that. And then millimeters again, and here I need 6 pages. And this one has 100. And we will be starting with the page number 1. Margins can be reduced down to 8 mm. And we will need the bleed. We will need the bleed plus we need slug. So the slug would normally be set to 10. And make sure you link this. Now this one increases when you hold shift. The incremental value is 10 millimeter in just one click. And I will also make sure that all the edges will have space for additional information. That's what slug is for. And so I'm going to increase this up to 13 mm. And 3 millimeter of bleed, which is already there. .30 millimeter for slug, 8 millimeter for margins, and we have our page size currently set to 100 by 210. Facing pages can be on or off. We can change that later, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Margins were supposed to be 8 millimeters margin. Okay. I can just turn it off for now, and you can see that doesn't really affect anything else. Now I can just click on create. So as you can see, I have 6 pages here. If I zoom in here, now it came with black outline, which is actual crop size. Then we have 3 millimeter bleed around that. And we have the slug, but what I want is to focus on these pages to be joined up together. Once again, if I want to do this, you can see that currently I cannot join this together, and because they are forced to be independent from each other due to shuffling feature. So if I turn that off by right clicking on these thumbnail, turn that off, I can immediately start attaching them together like so. So I'm going to attach these 3 together, and then 4, 5, 6 together. Notice because I don't use facing pages, we don't actually have a spine within these spreads. So that's a good idea if you have odd number of pages. Although it doesn't really make much difference, I still prefer to see my spreads for a trifold brochure without a spine. Having a spine in a book or a magazine is perfectly fine, but in this odd number page formats, it will be weird to have a spine on the left or on the right. It just gets in the way, even though technically it doesn't make a difference. So now let's think about the size we have. That's 300 millimeters width here. I can see this with the help of the rulers tool. Here I have 300 millimeters width. We'll be talking about rulers later on, but now I just want to mention that you can find them from the view menu. And here you can use shortcut to show or hide rulers, that is Control R. Show or hide. And it's clearly 300 millimeters at the moment. Now that's not the actual A4. That's 3 millimeters more than actual A4 size. So what I need to do is to reduce this by 3 millimeters. But instead of setting each of these folds, which are currently set as pages to 99, which would result in 297, I will only change one of them, which is going to be the folded page. And the reason for that is because the paper has a density, and if you start folding pages on top of each other, that density builds up, and it can result in pages in bulging, and you don't want that to happen. So what we normally do is that the folded side of the brochure is usually reduced slightly in width, and that will allow for perfect folding. What we need to make sure is that the 2 other folds are exactly the same size. Now, as long as I keep them 100 and 100, there shouldn't be any problem. But we need to decide, first of all, that where we will cover this uh, from the brochure. So normally I like to keep it here on this side. So I created a frame using this type tool here. I just type in here as title, 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 and just increase the font a little bit and go to text, up the font. Okay, I'll just double click here and it'll set the bounding box correctly. Okay, so I'll keep it at the center. Now alt click and dragging to duplicate this quickly. Okay, and this one would be just another annotation at the moment, so I can see that where things are. We have back where, and that means just we have this fold on the left. So I can write down here, make sure I remember this is the fold. Here I'm going to choose the fold, text, fold. Okay. That means I need to reduce the size of the fold. And as we already discussed, the best way of doing this is by using the page tool here. So there is a tool here which I can select pages. I'll be able to start dragging one of the sides and rearranging the pages. And what I see here is changing all the sizes of these spreads, and all the pages or folds within the spread. So now instead of doing what I will do, I will turn off the liquid page rule here, and by get it off. Now when it says controlled by parent, it will affect all the pages, but as soon as I set it off, now I will start dragging this page around and you will see it only changes one. Another thing you have to remember with this tool is when I let go of this, jumps back to its original size. And it's like a security feature that prevents me to change the page size. To make sure that I change it, I have to also hold down Alt key, and it will make sure that actually stays in that actual size. So hold Alt and drag, and now it stays in the size. And instead of changing with the page tool and dragging the corner points or the control points around, I prefer to change here from the options bar. So having the fold selected, I can currently see the width here is 100 millimeter, but I'll make sure that the reference point is set to the right edge of the page, and then I can start reducing the sign. So if I hold the shift key here, it'll bring down to 90 millimeter here. I'll just hold it right here and just bring down. And that brings down to 90 mm. And we want to set this to 97 mm. So the full page itself is now 297. And thanks to the fact that it is 97 and this is 100 and this is 100, we could even write this down here. Remember this once again. So this is 97 millimeters. Let's hold Alt and drag. 97 millimeters. Double click here. Just make it a little smaller. You go to text tool again and bring it down. Okay. Double click here. At the corner. Alright. Alt click and drag here and go back to here and say this is 100 millimeters. Again, I need to do this. Double click, center, alt click and drag. and here 100 millimeters, this one as well. So I'm using selection tool and alt click and dragging to copy that. It's also good that used to use the page tool and double check the sizes are correct. 100, 197. So let's do this on the other side. If you think about having a trifold brochure in front of you and you looked at one side of it and you turn it around that actual fold, and now it will appear on the other side. So I'm going to put the same details up in the fold and will be in the right side. That's why I'm going to use the page tool on that side. And I'm going to reduce the width, but before I set the reference point to the left, the left edge doesn't move around, and when I reduce the size, it will subtract right from the right edge. Just go to here, page tool, left edge, and this one here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That is 97 mm. Now it only subtracted that from the right edge. Now we have both the spreads ready for print. So most of the paper densities will be worked with this setup, and the 3 millimeter difference allows you to fold perfectly sit between two other folds. But that's the last thing that I would talk about the trifold video, and that needs to be turned around 90 degrees. And we have copied that way instead of have this long vertical folds, so you can do that by selecting the spread. Right click here, view pages, select the spread here, spread, okay. Page attributes and rotate spread view. You can do 90 degree clockwise or 90 degree counterclockwise, or maybe 180 degree. So if I select this 90 degree clockwise, you can see that it has rotated 90 degree, and there is a little icon next to the spread as well. So I can go to the page attributes that way. Just select this, right click, page attributes, rotate spread view, and this one is counterclockwise. So as you can see, this also gives the icon here as well, and it also, if you hover over this, viewed as rotated 90 degree, and this one has minus 90 degree. So not only you have a custom page size or different difference between page size with same document, you can even control the orientation of your pages by using the rotation features, and by that way you only change the temporarily the document, and where you had the text written sideways, you can always remove the rotation by right clicking here and clear rotation, right click, clear rotation. So if you've been following along this exercise, it would best to save this document, because we will be coming on this and making up a trifold brochure or even a design itself onto it. So just go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and save this file as a trifold brochure. Let's go ahead and exercise, and it's trifold. And save. So the deeper we get into InDesign, the more specific things you will have to pay attention to, considering the limitations in print and sometimes in interacting with documents as well. Now, understanding the master pages is a key concept in InDesign. Using these features that allows you to use repeated elements throughout your document, like page numbers, headers or footers, and brand animals like logos and all that stuff. Let's go ahead and quickly go back to my original page settings here. Okay. So even this workbook, I used a master page which has following elements and that we can see in the pages panel. This a master. Here I use this as a master. And in every new document you can create in InDesign, automatically it starts having one single master page. So if I go to a master, you will find all these elements as repeated throughout the workbook. There. So that's how the master works. At the bottom right corner, I have this page number. I have feature title, and then topic and section. And at the bottom left, we have this logo. All these elements are repeated throughout the document, but of course the details are changing slightly because there are more variables on the top, and even the page number is just a special marker which will automatically update depending on which page it is on. So how does it actually work? It's very simple to demonstrate. If I go to the A master page, you can try this out yourself in the workbook file. Just simply select the page number text frame and just drag it up a little bit up. Okay, maybe somewhere here, and then we go to pages, and you'll see that the update has been made in all the pages. So no matter which page I go to, the page number is now moved up everywhere because it is all interlinked throughout the document, and it is immediately updating everywhere. But of course, not only the replacement of it can be updated, but also its font. So for example, I just go back to the A master. I choose a different font from my computer. Just go to font, type tool. Let's just say font of this font, maybe this one. This is much more visible. Okay, maybe I just increase the size up a bit and give undo. Okay, I'll just increase up the size as well, just a little bit, tad bit. The text, increase the size up, and maybe change the color of this to cyan, and that's a background color. That's not what I want. Select this, change the color. It's gonna give me a stroke right there. Maybe cyan is fine. Okay, so that is going to update throughout the pages. Now all these formatting options we'll be discussing later, and I'll just take it a little bit up. Okay, now it immediately updates in all the pages, as you can see here. Now I'm going to explain a couple of very important things you need to understand about the master page. We will be coming back to these features, and it is used for many different advanced technique as well. So one of the first things I would like to show you is that master page elements cannot be selected directly in your pages. Most of the times they will be locked by default. So I cannot select this, or I cannot select this one here. I can only make the changes to them if I go back to the master page itself, and look, if I zoom out, I won't actually see other pages around the master page. You can think of this like a different dimension, or like a whole completely different level thing. Now we are working on a master level. Here, while I switch to a page, I'm working on a page level where I can see all my pages in the document. Now, another aspect of using master page elements is that they will be joined with all the details and elements that you have on the page. So master page elements will be mixing your current page elements, and I'm going to show you this on the page number 7, where I have an image. Now what happens when I move this image? It will actually overlap the page number because by default the master page elements will be behind your current page elements. So just to demonstrate this to you, when I drag around this image to the left, as you can see, the master page elements stay below. Okay. By default, this is the behavior that the InDesign is using, but if you want to override that, there is a very easy and quick fix. All you have to do is go back to your master page, selected item. This is the page number. You want to make sure that it will be always on the top of everything else in the document, and you have to go to the layers panel. Let's just go back here to the masters. Okay, now go to the layers panel, in which you can find here. If you can't find this, you can activate layers panel from Windows menu and here, or you can use the shortcut F7 to activate the layers panel. So I have a layers panel here, and you create a new layer, and let's just name it as master elements. Double click here, master elements. Okay, so like that, I have this current selection, and so I have this document is represented with a little square here. All I have to do is simply just click here. So I'll just click and drag here, and this element is now shifted to master elements pages. So that you can see, open up there is a one single text frame up here. So now I can see this actually on the new layer. Now if you go back to the page number 7 and now move this, I can see that the number is now overlapping the image. Now the page number is on the top of the image because we have this layer on top of it. As long as I'm consistent in putting all my master elements into that layer and keeping all my other elements on layer 1, there should not be any issues of overlapping and hiding master pages elements with my page elements. It's good to know that layers are consistent throughout the whole document, so every page is using the same exact layer structure, and every document starts with one single layer. So until you go and add in new layers and start disturbing your elements, InDesign will collect everything on the same layer. Now again, layers is another big topic and we'll be talking about it more later on, but now this was something we need to discuss, and if it doesn't make any sense, I'll make sure that you try it out and you do it exactly what I showed you here, testing it, how it works, moving it between the layers that you create, I mean the items between these layers, and it should make sense. But as I said, we will be exploring layers a little bit more later. For now, I wanted to show that in some cases you wanted to individually change the location or even formatting of the master page element. So that's the way to do it. Now let's say on a page like this, we have an object here. I want the page number moved to the left. So even though it's on the top of it, the image, I still don't like the way it looks, because blue here and blue doesn't go well here. So if I wanted to see that page number away from here without affecting all other pages, what I can use is a shortcut, that is Control Shift and click on this element, which means this master page elements is now unlocked and I can move it around. The actual term in InDesign is overriding the master page element, which is a very small thing because it has some links to the master page, but it allows me to make local amendments to it. So I can move this maybe here. But let's check the page number 8. The page number stays at the same place, whereas here I have broken that chain of the master element. So what happens now, if I amend the formatting of this, I can go back to the master page and select it and maybe change the color to black. Let's just go here. I'll just change the color to none here. Go back to page number 7. Still has the page here, but the background has gone. Let's just say I'll just change this color here to something else here now. If I go back here, it doesn't make any difference on any other pages. So wherever this is a local, right, don't expect it to follow changes as closely as the other pages would, but it will still have some ties to the master page element depending on what local attributes you do. So we're not going deeper into this as it's long, and as you understand how to do a local override, that should be enough. But of course, you can undo this later on if you change your mind. All you have to do is right click on this element, page element, right click on here, page element, and apply parents to pages and give OK, and it has been applied. And simply have this applied master page, and it overrides everything that you have changed. Well, let me just undo, and there's one thing you can do is here you can drag and drop here. That will apply those changes as well, and that's an easy way and a little bit faster way to do that. Similarly to this technique, you can also decide to remove connection to the master page from a page easily by dragging this thumbnail of none to this particular page. You want to change the link, click, and here you can see the elements vanished. Now again, if I want to get back, I can click and drag, and I have my page here as well. Now don't get confused with the elements on top. We will actually already overridden before, but all the details on the bottom in the footer area and the page number and all that was removed before. But this now is completely was independent from the master page, so these elements vanished. When I hover over this non-applied, while other on pages, I will say master applied. You can even see a capital A on top of the center. So it's representing what master it's connected to on this pages here. A master applied, A master applied. And if I change it to none, the A goes away. Change here and here. But there's an even better way of doing by just right clicking, just apply to master pages. Anywhere within the pages, I can type in exactly which pages I want. So it can be maybe 14 to click here. Apply parent to pages, and here I have options where I want to change this. Let's say I can put in a number here like 14 to 20, 14 to 20, or maybe 12 and 13 and maybe 17. I can customize how much space and how many pages I want in this here, so that you can also save time, and of course you can have multiple masters in the same document. You can do that. We can simply come to the masters area, just click and drag here. I can increase that area if I need more space. I can right click here and choose new parent. It's like creating a new page, but it has a little bit more options, because the master page we can have a different pages size option as well. You can have multiple size master in the same document, but I'm just going to keep the same here and keep it the name the way as it is, and click OK. And here you have another master that is called B parent. I could also start populating it with details, and then similarly to before, I wanted to apply this on a page, I would just have to drag and drop on it, and then it's connect to be my parent master B. I will also show you a couple of more advanced techniques with respect to the master page, like having multiple page master and base room masters. But for now, this is enough to understand what they do and what they stand for. Before we move on, there are some features. These are some features on the master page for now. Go back to this control 0. Now we're going to take a look at a feature called Smart Text Reflow, which is almost like a combination of using master pages and threading text, which we discussed earlier previously. Now I'm going to show you how to combine two methods. So first of all, we need to have this master page open. Currently I'm going to just delete this master page, double click here and have my master page open. Then use the type tool and place a text frame somewhere on the page. Let's choose type tool option and place this text frame like so. Now if I go to some other page, I press W, it will show up in all the pages that are connected to master. And so in my case, that means all the pages apart from the cover page. So if I come to like maybe let's say page number 41, here I see that the normal view I won't be able to see if I have this on. So press W to go to the special view preview mode. I'll be able to see the dashed line around the frame that I created and the frame that is coming from the master. So this is the master element which I currently could not select, and let me just move this frame. Press W, double click. Okay. Now I cannot select this just by doing like that. I have to hold Control Shift. I can click it now. Now I have the frame editable. Maybe I would reduce the height and adjust the width. Now if I go to File, Place, and go to here in my text document, introduction, maybe basics, the basics here, exercise, yeah. So if I import this document, open. Now if I go to the next page, I have this threading, continue to the next page. It is automatically connected to the next page and the thread is showing up. Let me just show you. If I move down this page, you can see this. This is called a Smart Text Reflow, and it is actually not showing up in the master page, of course. So it's in the text frame here and there is nothing showing up. Because you have to overwrite the frame on the page where you want to copy and start, and then it will automatically populate the remaining pages as much as necessary for the copy to fit, and the threading is automatically created between the pages. So make sure that it makes sense that I'm going to show you this again in a separate document. Let's just take a new document. Use millimeters. It's a print A5 document. Let's just say print A5. Set to landscape. And without facing pages, then I'll just go ahead and click create. So I have a document here. completely empty, and our master page is completely empty as well. So if I come to my master page, double click, I use my type tool like so, and I can create a text frame, maybe this around the side, something like this. And now I'm going to press selection tool and get out of this text frame and move into my first page. Then I can use Control Shift and have my frame selected. And now we can place the text in so that the text file we have the sample text from the exercise file. Show import options, give open. I'll just remove the styles and formatting from text and tables. Now I'll just give OK. And notice how it created 3 more pages underneath here. And of course, they're all connected. View, extras, show text threads, and these text threads will be visible. Now this is a combination of using a master page and text threading between pages, and of course the frame that you set up in the first page can already have formatting assigned to it, and you can even have columns inside it, and so on and so forth. But I would like to show you that one last useful feature, and that is once again to do with the master pages. So if I have a master page set up in another document and I would like to import that into my current document, all I have to do is go into the panels menu, new parent, I go to parent pages and load parent pages, and let's just say I want a workbook from here, this file open. So I have that A master here, so double click here and I have my A master here. I can click and drag and apply on all of these pages, and there you can see the update has been made, and it will ask me straight away if I want to replace my master or not. So it's simply using this option I can import the master page along with my current master page here. So is that easy to import masters from one document to another, essentially repurposing them, and that makes unnecessary changes to them if you have a new document. And that's all I wanted to add what we have learned about master pages. Now that's about it with respect to the master pages.